What's good, y'all? How y'all doing? Welcome to another video. If y'all are new to the channel, I do lifestyle rearrangement content, and the topic of today's video is your light starts dark. In life, you go through pains to build endurance, weakness to build strength, and tears to understand joy. Everything you go through in the dark helps you to appreciate the light. If you had too much good, you get bored. You wouldn't thank God for things as often. You'd get bored of common everyday activities, and so on. It's as simple as this. You'll start to appreciate what you have once you've been in a situation where you hadn't had it. Remember this: what you learn from your pain paints the picture of your future. Learn to learn. Alright, so God puts you in situations so that you will not be ungrateful for what you have. So I'll give you an example, right? If you're a content creator, right? I just use that content creator example because I'm a content creator, right? If you're a content creator and you create content like on like a daily basis and you're consistent with it, let's say things are tough. You know what I'm saying? I'll just say it like that, right? God gives you those moments so that you when he puts you in a predicament where he says, okay, you did this, you did this, you did this. Here you go. That you're not ungrateful. Because here's what's going to happen, right? God is going to say, okay, I gave you this. You know what I'm saying? You start to live the life. You start to enjoy it. Part of that enjoying things, you'll probably be like, this is a little weird because you're not used to it. And then eventually you'll be like, okay, you'll get used to it. And then when you get used to it, then you'll have this day where you feel like it's the same old, same old. Then you start to think, right? Or maybe you have a dream, and it may be anything, right? And you remember, or maybe your friend calls you, and then you realize how far you've came. Sometimes God puts us in certain situations just to show us how far we've came. So just to remember where we came from. Because if you had years of the same stupid stuff, the same struggling with bills, the same toxic household, the same, horrible job you gotta go to every day, the same 4 years in college, the same 4 years in high school, horrible, whatever. And you start to realize that and you're like, you know what? I'm like, damn. I'm like, God's got a point. To be honest with you, I was here and now I'm here. I'm in a way better place, way better house. Parents don't got to worry about bills no more. You know what I'm saying? I got a stable income. I don't got to worry about working every day. I can take vacations when I want to take vacations. I have something that's, that has a constant stream of income, like a passive stream of income. Like I don't got to worry about checking up on it every few minutes. Like I have a passive stream of income. I have a stream of income that may take a little more work and things of that nature. And you start to realize like, damn, I came this far. So without that situation or without that example, it's only but so much you'll know. So it's like, even if your example, right, was having to see your friend grow up, right, and your constant reminder for how, like, privileged you were was the fact that was your friend's life. I'll just say it like that. It was your friend's life. And then you start to realize you're like, well, damn. I'm complaining about this, but my friend got to deal with this. And you go to your friend's house. Let's say you go to your friend's house, right? Say every time you come in there, the parents are arguing. I'm just giving you the this is the common stuff, right? Come in, parents arguing, stuff all over the floor. You know what I'm saying? Like, they barely got food in the house. Like, you know what I'm saying? It depends on the situation. Everybody's friend situation is different, but depending on the situation, there are people in this world, like, nobody has, like, a different experience, right? So, there is somebody out there that while you may think, oh, I'm the only one dealing with this, there are a lot of people, even if they're not in your circle, that have dealt with things similar to you. And some people in your circle have dealt with what you dealt with. They just don't want to talk. And you have to be careful hanging around people as well that, all day they listening to you talk and they want to hear your business, but they don't ever want to give up their business. That's the people you got to watch out for. Because they're collecting information on you and you don't have nothing on them to be able to say, okay, if this situation comes up, I got this on them, this on them, this on them. They got everything on you. So you got to be careful how much you talk, and you got to be careful who you're talking to, right? So yeah, like there are people in this world who had situations where they went to their friend's house, their friend had a toxic household, and meaning them, the person that is going to the friend's house, may have not had a situation their friend had. So they're going to their friend's house like, damn, what the hell is going on? So like, you're not gonna talk to your friend about it. Like, some people will. Some people may not talk to their friend about it. I'm gonna leave it alone. But some people be like genuinely like, what's going on in your household, bro? Like, it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, something like people start getting curious, and people start explaining stuff, and you're like, damn. In your mind, because you might not want to say that out loud. And you start realizing how privileged you are and how good you have it. You start to realize that. And then there are also movies out there where there are kids who are rich who want to be poor. I'll give an example. There's this movie called, I think it's called Richie Rich, right? It's with Macaulay Culkin. He's the rich kid or whatever. He's traveling to different places. He's seen these kids playing baseball. He likes playing baseball. You know what I'm saying? So he just, he's thinking of himself as just a normal kid, but they're looking at him as like, like you're rich, you got this money, you got that, you got this, you got that, right? And he's like, nah, I just want to play baseball, whatever, right? Like, I just want friends. I want to see how it's like, you know what I'm saying? Because, he said, I barely talk to normal people. He feels like, the people that have less than him are the more normal people. And the people that have less than him wish they had what he had, right? So there are certain things, just using that as an example. There are rich people out here, mostly rich kids who were born into rich families, that had never had to deal with certain things, and they just are like, it's boring for them. And they may be like, damn, I gotta sit in this house all day, I got a maid, I got a butler, I got a chef, I got a driver, I got a bodyguard, I don't gotta worry about protection, I got somebody who drives me around, I don't gotta worry about gas money. Like, some people like, what is gas money? Like, some people don't care about that stuff. They got their driver filling up their gas tank for them. And some people just don't know what it's like to be in bad situations. And some of them want to be in bad situations because they're like, yo, I've never been in this type of situation, and I'm tired of my situation. So I want to experience their situation. That's why you got people who are born into rich families who come to the hood and they want to act all gangster because they're like, okay, well, I want to see what they got. And then they like, what do you want what we have for? We trying to get out of here. You trying to come to us? And we trying to get out of here. And then, they don't care because, what I'm saying, they want to see, they just want to experience something different. And then you got the other people, what I'm saying, the people who grew up poor, and, what I'm saying, like, they want to get out of here. Like, they, what I'm saying, they in the hood, they want to get out of the hood. Some hoods be forcing people to do certain things if they're a part of a hood. Some, like, what I'm saying? Like, there are people out here that have, like, bad situations. So, at the end of the day, bro, like, if I'm being honest, like I said, no light without dark, bro. Because these are people that were born into stuff. So, whether you were born into poverty or born into wealth, there's something in you that is like, okay, I want this. And there's some wealthy kids who are smart and they're like, nah, I don't want to live like that. I don't want to live like them. But there are some wealthy people out here that are like, some wealthy kids, and they're like, I want to see what normal people live like. And they want to live over there, and we trying to get out of here. And you know what I'm saying? So it's like, there's, like I said, no light without dark. No light without dark. Because God puts you, like I said, God puts you in these bad situations so that you can understand why certain things took so long, and and just why you had to experience stuff in the past. So the toxic household, the having to work a job, your parents having to work a job, and you having to work a job, you having to be in school, college for 4 years, you being in college debt, all that stuff, that teaches you things. That teaches you some stuff, because it's like, okay, well, in order for me, the traditional lifestyle is, okay, go get a job, you know what I'm saying? Well, obviously, go to school. After you get out of school, you get a job, you're in college, pay off your debt, find a girl, get married, have a kid, all of that stuff, right? And then that's the thing, right? That's the typical stuff, right? God puts you in a situation where he's like, okay, you go through here, then you become successful. He does that so that you can never be in a space where you can be ungrateful. Where you can never be in a space where it's like, okay, you can't look down on anybody, kind of. Because for you to look down on somebody, you have to look down on yourself. Can't look down on nobody's situation and say, oh yeah, he's poor. That's what God does certain things for. Because he's like, yo, I'm giving you an example of what your life can be, or what your life has been, so that when the change or the shift comes and you're living that life, you're never ungrateful. Because okay, I had to deal with this too. I never look down on nobody because I've dealt with this too. Or even if I haven't, I've been in a similar situation to this person. I've been in bad predicaments. So God puts you in those bad predicaments so that when you get out, you'll never look back and say, or look down on anyone and say, oh yeah, look at this guy. No, you've been in that type of predicament. He's putting you in all of these stages now so that when it's time for you to go wherever you need to go, by the time you get successful, that you're not looking back and I want this and I want that, and no, you don't. He's showing you why you don't want it. He's showing you why you don't want it. So that's the moral of everything. You need the bad times to have the good times. Because without the bad times, you'll have no example or representation of how good you have it. So like I said, while that could be an example of a friend or a family member that you're around, a colleague, or somebody, it could be anything. God could teach you through anything, but some people have to learn through their own experience. So if you're in a bad predicament right now, and you're, marching or working towards success, and you need kind of like a push because you're like, why am I going through this? God is putting you through these things so that you can remember where you came from. Because everybody can say all day, I was born rich and I was born poor. Well, not even that. Everybody can say, if it came to it, if it was somebody that was born rich, I was born rich. It's nothing like having to go through the poverty first, and then now you're rich. When you go through the poverty first, you understand what it's like. Damn, got dragged through the mud, had to do this, had to do that in order to get here. When you gotta experience that, it hurts you a little more, and then you start thinking a little smarter, and you're like, damn, nah, I'm not gonna be ungrateful because I know the situation I was in last week, and God put me in a better predicament now, so I'm never gonna be ungrateful for anything ever again. And that's the position God put you in. He's like, okay, I'm gonna put you in a predicament where you only are able to rely on me, focus on me. So yes, you go through the poor times of poverty and all of that stuff so that when you reach success, you don't look back, you don't turn back, you don't want it back, you don't look down on nobody for being in the same situation. You know how to help people out who are in similar situations or in the same situation that you were in. You just don't look back. You have no reason to look back because you've been through it already and you know how it is. Why would I want to go back to something I've been trying to leave? if I'm at a horrible job, I get a better opportunity. Am I going to stay at that horrible job where I was getting low pay and I was getting treated badly? Or whether it was high pay? Am I going to be in this horrible job? Am I going to stay in this horrible job? Or am I going to take this better job opportunity where I'm getting paid more and treated better? Which one am I going to pick? I think I personally would take the job where I'm getting paid more and treated better than this dump over here. So you got to make your decision. You got to make your decision today. Make your decision, bro. Are you going to continue going through this journey you're going through of poverty, or whatever you want to call it, this hardship of your life? Do you want to continue going through it and not learn anything from it, or start learning something from it so you can get out of here? I think we know the answer that you should choose. You know what I'm saying? So it's as simple as that. This concludes the video. If y'all have any comments, questions, or concerns, I'll have my Instagram in the description. Y'all can ask me questions. If you do not necessarily or particularly have a question, you can just follow me and then DM me and say, I came from YouTube. I don't have necessarily specific question, comment, or concern. I'm just interested in what you're doing. Then that's cool as well. You know what I'm saying? You can also comment. If you don't have Instagram, you can also comment down below. You know what I'm saying? And I'll help you guys with anything you need that you think I can help with, that you think I may be able to help with. Or even if I can't help with it, I might know somebody who can help with the situation. And even if I don't, I can still try my best to help you out however I can. You know what I'm saying? But I'll see you guys in another video.